Hey everyone, I'm here with a quick video on Keith Lee. He is the TikTok food critic sensation that has gained over 16 million followers. He's only 27 and he is truly doing his thing. And listen, guys, I think we're in a very good time in this world there. If you really want to do something, achieve something, and be something, you can do it if you put your mind to it. This young man is a prime example. So, how food critic Keith Lee went from MMA fighter to TikTok star. He has 16 million followers and can turn a restaurant around with a single TikTok. Just don't tell him he's famous. Early on a cool Los Angeles afternoon, while most of the city is still deciding what's for lunch, one of the country's fastest rising food critics is in a Studio City parking lot, absolutely housing a spicy double cheeseburger. Listen, I can't do spices, but for those that can and love it, I'm happy for you. My eyes are getting worried, Keith Lee says, laughing as he works his way through the bun, pausing to hold out a thick slice of jalapeno to the iPhone propped up on his dashboard. There's no graceful way to eat in your car, but Lee has figured out a rhythm to both do it and film it at the same time. Phone balanced purposely perfectly while his sister Irma, out of view, helpfully rummages through a large greasy paper bag to hand Lee over another burger, this one covered in bacon and even more cheese. Not you eating the onions off the console, Irma jokes, crackling as Lee laughs so hard that that he has to catch his breath. Without any context, the scene might simply be two siblings bonding over a meal. But when Lee posts a supercut of the video on TikTok that night, 4.8 million people tune in. Even before Lee has properly finished his lunch, a sizable queue is trailing from Easy Street Burgers cash register out of the open door and down the sidewalk. To say Lee is everywhere would be an understatement. Inside, people pay at the till next to a sticker with Lee face on it. When Lee walks in and pays for at least 50 burgers, including a $4,000 plus tip for the four kitchen workers sweating over the grill in the back, people who seconds ago was showing seasoned fries, was shoving seasoned fries and cheese laden buns into their mouths, abandoned them entirely, grabbing napkins and cell phones to take photos. Damon Graham, a 45-year-old visitor from Atlanta, doesn't even make it to the register before he's gapping. Is that Keith Lee? Keith Lee? He asks silently. In a few seconds, he's shaking Lee's hand. I saw you on TikTok. That's the only reason why I'm here. Graham tells him, posing for a photo his wife takes. It is carefully controlled chaos, with Lee willingly making his way to outstretched phones like he's on an improv step and repeat. But for Lee, this experience, the photo requests or smiling fans or lines from restaurants down the block isn't a fluke. It's a phenomenon that's become so commonplace, it has its own name, the Keith Lee effect. It's taken less than 4 years for Lee, 27, to go from being a Las Vegas-based MMA fighter to arguably the internet's biggest and most beloved food critic. While he started by posting general content about his life, it was his TikTok cooking dinner and documenting his wife Ronnie's pregnancy cravings that kickstarted mainstream interest in his page. People tuned in to watch Lee at odd hours of the night, collected assorted snacks or takeout, often cooking whatever he couldn't find. Cooking tutorials became taste tests, first of novelty snacks, then chain restaurant dishes, and eventually the now famous restaurant reviews. His approach is simple: eat at mom and pop shops nationwide and then rate their food. Lee video format is consistent, appearing on most TikToks inside a car with a heavy to go bag of food and a staccato catchphrase. I got it, let's try it, and rate it 1 through 10. Through this, Lee netted more than 16 million TikTok followers and the respect of hundreds of restaurateurs across the country. His reviews has helped stop businesses from closing, jump-started their online presence, and in one case spun a city's food scene into complete turmoil in less than 2 videos. Lee's fans span from teenagers to their parents, uncles, and aunts, a generational divide that other influencers couldn't even pay to win over. Lee has become the everyman voice of food TikTok. He's a bona fide star. Just don't let him hear you say that. I'm not famous, I'm just popular, Lee says, in a sentiment that he will repeat again and again throughout the weekend. Since I've just seen the equivalent of an orderly mob choose getting a picture with him over finishing lunch. I push back, but Lee refuses to budge. His signature is cheap as grin on full display. When I look at myself in the mirror now, I don't see somebody who's a celebrity. Even when I go outside and take pictures with people, I think fame and celebrity are what you make of it, he says. And if I accept the title celebrity, then I have to accept whatever else you put on me. I'm a human being. I'm a person. I'm not somebody famous. I'm not an influencer. I'm Keith and I eat food. I thank God for the courage to not be an a-hole, but still be honest. There's a common script content creators follow when they go from app famous to suddenly influential outside of the screen. They didn't expect this. They're grateful for the attention. They just like you. And also, they'll be moving into their mini mansion in Beverly Hills where their videos will suddenly revolve around red carpet events, parties, and how much better their lives are since their followers rewarded their blogs with cold, hard cash. Lee has the gratefulness part down. He's even has his follower count has skyrocketed past 16 million. His formula for videos have remained shockingly consistent. A special aspect of his stoic personality is that many of the standard issue plateaus he says about his career are accent to his fame managed to ring both true and achingly authentic. Lee is direct with his praise and gentle with his critiques. A dessert too sweet? He's quick to explain that it might just be not be his preference. Waited too long for his order? It could simply be a busy day for a swamp kitchen. He refuses to conform to the standard TikTok approach, even if that means giving restaurants second chances or passing workers $1,000 tips. Even before he films his burger review, he prays 3 times, something he says is necessary part of his process. Before I do anything, I thank God, but it's more thanking him in advance, he explains. I thank him for the courage not to be an a-hole, but to still be honest. It is a very fine line, especially when you are, quote, unquote, critiquing somebody's livelihood. I think we might be able to watch this. Let's see. Oh, wait, click to another screen. You know what? We're not going to watch it because he's playing music, so we won't do that. Okay. So for any other person, this earnest would undoubtedly come off as cringe. There's simply no reason it should work. But for Lee, it does. Lee records it being fair. But if you talk to Janelle Proctor, owner of the Texas bakery, the Pottery, she calls Lee's online presence and his visit to her struggling restaurant in November 2023 a miracle. After bringing her banana pudding recipe to work potlucks, she started a business selling banana pudding-based desserts. First through friends, then at bake sales and festivals, and eventually opened up a shop in Houston. She had loyal customers, but not enough. She remembers using buy now, pay later schemes to balance inventory and pay her rent. A good day was 30 customers. On average, on the average day, she could sometimes see 2. It was mentally draining, she tells Rolling Stone. I was questioning my life choices. On the day Lee visited her store, he was one of 5 customers. The next day, there were 130 customers snaked into a theme park line around the block. She still can't talk about it without getting emotional, but says that since Lee's positive review, the store hasn't seen a single day fewer than 100 customers. That is beautiful. I'm getting like emotional just reading it. The Keith Lee effect is 100% real, she says. It was a major blessing, and I'm just doing my best to make the most of it and to have gratitude every day. Getting surrounded. The middle of LA burger joint is a far cry from where Keith Lee started 15 years ago. Lee grew up in Detroit with his parents and three siblings. He was expelled from at least four schools. He struggled with anxiety and depression, which manifested as intense communication problems and confrontations with classmates, teachers, and his parents. When he was 16, he was kicked out of the house after continual arguments with his father. I was a liability. It was not like I didn't have opportunities. I just didn't understand how to take advantage of those opportunities. While still battling the mental health issues that I was going through, Lee says, so by the time I was 16, I looked up and I was by myself. While in school, Lee took after his brother Kevin, joining a wrestling team. 4 years younger, Lee often felt like his identity was based solely on being Kevin's little brother. When Kevin was praised by teachers and peers, Keith got in trouble. Keith went to college without a second thought. While Keith despaired about the future, Keith got kicked off the team multiple times, yet his success at wrestling became a catalyst for an important realization. He could do something just right, but well. It let me know that I wasn't as lost as I thought I was, Lee says. But while wrestling helped me, his self esteem, it also put him in the throes of an eating disorder. Wrestling is riddled with eating disorders because it stems from wanting to make weight, Lee says. You think I'm the only doing this because it's a sport, but your body doesn't know that. He can recall sitting at Thanksgiving with rice cakes, sneaking small bites of mac and cheese and turkey, feeling so guilty he would run for miles afterward. When Lee was suspended again during his senior year, he felt like he had lost his hard fought upward trajectory. It was around then he attempted to take his own life. I feel like I felt not only like a failure, but like I was on a roller coaster. As much as I was giving up, I knew I had to come back down. And I was tired of the ride, Lee says. His father found him before it was too late, and it changed their relationship forever. The pain he was going through, seeing one of his sons in the mental space, it just brought us closer. Thank God he didn't do it. When Kevin Jr. joined the UFC at 21, the MMA equivalent of getting drafted by the NFL, the entire family moved from Detroit to Las Vegas, but about to turn 18, separated from friends, and with no plans to go to college, Lee quickly fell back into depression. His brother showed up at the apartment one day, took one look at Lee's dark room and unshaven face, and dragged him to his gym. It was Lee's fresh start, the world of mixed martial arts. While his brother paid his fees, Lee worked odd jobs to support himself. One at a shoe store that put him in the path of his wife, Ronnie. On the same day in December 2019, Lee found out that Ronnie was pregnant and his career had finally delivered his big break, a contract with the MMA organization, a competitor to the UFC. MMA fighting is run by promotional companies that sign fighters under short-term contracts and then host tournaments and fights. But professional fighting meant professional interviews, something Lee says his social anxiety made extremely difficult. I was so nervous. I was sweaty. It would mess up my entire day just to hear that I had to do an interview, Lee says. You can't be a super professional fighter and not be good on the mic. So I took upon myself to start doing TikTok. I just set up the camera and I started recording myself and pretending it was 1,000 people watching me, and I would use that as an outlet to get better in front of the camera. Oh, that was smart. He got better. He also got followers, easily reaching 1 million in a year of study posting. Once his first daughter was born, Lee began to struggle in the ring. After a brutal loss in a fight, he revoked his the people revoked his contract. He was already a Postmates driver to make extra cash, but felt lost in his career. I was sitting in bed with my 1.5-year-old. My wife is pregnant. He says, I don't have a job, and I just got choked out on national TV. Lee fell into another depression. I'm in the bed in a fetal position, and my wife is standing over me and telling me everything is going to be okay, he says. Maybe like a week later, I pulled myself out. I sat in the car and I just started recording. And I was like, no matter what, it is that is supposed to happen is going to happen, and I'm here for the ride. I'm not okay now, but I will be. By nearly early 2023, his 1 million followers had turned into 8 million and set the foundation for a food empire. This is a great story. Beautiful. God bless his wife, because his wife hung in there. And a lot of people do not. Beautiful daughters. I'm liking him even more and more now. There is no world where hanging out with Lee doesn't also mean hanging out with his relatives. When you go on food tours, visiting different cities, and conducting guerrilla hits at mom and pop eateries across the country, he rolls deep, piles everyone into a large van to drive around town. At any given moment, his entourage is made up of both his and Ronnie moms, his sister Irma, his two daughters, and at least three cousins. There is no set dressing in this group. All of them have essential jobs and responsibilities. After less than a year of Lee doing online food reviews, the restaurants became so savvy about keeping a lookout for him that they had to wear disguises like hats, different clothes, and a full prosthetic nose carefully applied by Irma. When those didn't work, he sent in his sister. Now, it's an unnamed secret weapon in the family who collects the food, and identity held so tightly that I had to agree not to mention their name, gender, or any identifying factors, because I could even speak to them because I couldn't even speak to them off the record. In fact, the entire afternoon I spent with Lee feels less like an interview and more like a great family vacation. There are jokes about kids who don't listen and Ronnie being armed and dangerous. She's probably 5 feet even. You know, it's a good laugh when someone has to run away to crackle, and camaraderie seems to envelope them even through the waning energy. At one point, I spot Lee play boxing his cousin in the parking lot. I'm trying to see if this one at box looks good. If I can show this particular review, let me see. If no music is on it, I'll play it. Okay, so I can stop sharing the screen for 1 second. I will present this review. We could, you know what? I'll play a little bit of it because I'm not sure either too if I can play his TikTok videos, but I'll play about 30 seconds.
Scarborough, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. This is the most Canadian thing I've ever done. I got it. Let's try it. And rate it 1 to 10. We spent $36.16. 99% of the time, I always decline backyard, in-house, or like plates, because I don't want nobody's house getting super busy. There's no guarantee that's going to get busy, but there's a possibility. But this is completely different. This is the video I saw that helped me discover this place.
Here's a hidden gem that you can find in someone's backyard. Google Maps will bring you to this residential street. You'll know you're in the right place when you see these signs. So if you keep walking all the way down the driveway, you'll come across this shed. What you'll find inside is biscuits to baskets and backyard brew espresso bar. The shelves were stacked with snacks and chocolates. They have baked goods that pair well with their coffee, and the prices are really affordable.
My family said the customer service was over the top.
So that's interesting. You can, I guess you have to get zoned for it, but you can have a business like in your house or like as part of your house. That's interesting. Okay, and we can't watch the whole review because I don't want to get dinged, but let's continue. But what this tight knit family affair can't show is just how monumental Lee's work has become. Such was the case during Lee's food tour of Atlanta in November 2023. Lee visited the city to try several restaurants that had been suggested by fans. What he got was drama all the way down. I do remember that drama, and I am one of the people that kind of covered that drama. It was a lot, but it's great to see and know more about Lee and have a greater understanding of how he started, where he's at, and how much he has achieved, and the amount of people that he amassed as a following is amazing. At the upscale brunch restaurant, The Real Milk and Honey, Lee tried and failed to order food several times, each time rebuffed by changing store hours and takeout counters that were closed. When staff realized it was him, They tried to reopen just for his family, which Lee dismissed. The chaos continued when they visited Old Lady Gang, a restaurant owned by the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Candy Burris. After finding out there was no takeout option, Lee's family was given a wait time of an hour and a half, which was immediately changed to 5 minutes when Lee was spotted taking photos with fans outside. Lee declined to eat before the others waited and left. At brunch spot Toast on Lenox, staff was also offered Lee a table while others were waiting for up to an hour. And once again, he said no. In his video reviews, Lee critiqued several of the city's eateries, expressing small frustrations with how hard it was to get reservations or walk in to eat. Restaurants that he was able to visit, he showered them with praise and donations, but the viral incidents, ones where Lee wasn't able to find a seat or wasn't served, became the discourse around the food tour. Was Lee in his right to critique Atlanta's fame-based food hierarchy, or was he too popular TikTok creator who was tearing down Black-owned businesses? The controversy reached such a fever pitch that Lee threatened to end his food tours altogether if the online community couldn't get its act together. I see these people behind these restaurants. I don't just see a business. But while Lee consistently rejects fame or special treatment, he's not too stubborn to consider what extra attention might mean for his family. On a trip to New Orleans, Lee made the mistake of rolling down his car window and asking for some directions. Before I could think, the car was surrounded, Lee says. People are stopping at green lights and jumping out of their car in the middle of traffic and running up to us to take pictures and crying and screaming. Before that moment, Lee had refused to hire extra security to travel with him. Now the family entourage includes a security guard, one of Ronnie's cousins. I'm not a person who likes conflict. I got the biggest security that you could possibly have. God is always watching over me, he says, pausing thoughtfully before adding, my hands are registered too. I'll beat the hell out of somebody if I have to. It is the same comical bravery that brought fans to Lee's in the first place, and why he feels comfortable being brutally honest in his videos. One of the first truly personal things Lee shared online was about his eating disorder, and since then, he's quick to post about topics ranging from personal frustration to public gratitude. Just don't think that because you know about it, you know him. I genuinely enjoy eating food, and I enjoy being about the food, he says. I don't want to be misconstrued that what I'm doing now is only because of trauma I've been through. Don't treat me nice because I have anxiety or because I tried to commit or take my life when I was 18. Treat me the way you would treat anybody else. I'm gonna treat you the way I treat anybody else. While TikTok users began flocking to Lee's page to watch him prepare meals for his pregnant wife, behind the scenes, Lee was actually using the cooking videos to help heal his relationship with food. Seeing food as something that can be enjoyable, learning how to make my own dishes that I enjoy, and cooking for my wife while she was pregnant, and building a community online while I was cooking every day and holding my newborn daughter in my arms, that allowed me to get a better relationship with food, he says. I didn't know that at the time, but I was studying to be a professional foodie, and I feel like that's what I am. On their own, Lee videos are content entertainment, but behind the scenes, a philanthropic ecosystem he has evolved, taking Lee from creator to a recognized force in lifting up families and communities across the nation. Humble as he may be, Lee knows that his new form, in fact, it's probably the aspect of the job that he likes the best. I see people behind these small restaurants. I just don't see the business anymore. I see the mom and the dad that are running this restaurant to feed their children and to take their kids to school and only eat 1 or 2 times a day. They have no idea what they're going to do tomorrow or the next day, he says. Having a platform and being able to use that platform to possibly change their trajectory, that's what I'm very satisfied with. He's such a believer in the mission that he has since announced he will be returning to Atlanta on a redemption tour, using the buzz from his last trip to highlight restaurants that need help. In the meantime, in April, he hosted a food truck event advertising a giveaway of 500 free meals and pairs of free shoes. According to the local police, 1,000 people showed up before it even began. Lee moved the event to a larger location. When he arrived, dozens more food trucks began to drive in. They were there because they heard Lee was helping out the city. They wanted to help too, and spent the day giving free food to anyone who showed up. Lee Cannon does bulk at labels, take them out of the equation, and the enterprise falls apart. There is no Keith Lee effect without Keith Lee. But it's when I asked him about his proudest moment, one that finally convinced him he was the person people will remember. He speaks without hesitation. When I became a father, when somebody was able to look at me and see me as important, I'm her dad. Me and her mom are the two most important things to her. So having a responsibility and that tiny person's staring at me. So don't know me as Kevin Lee's little brother. She knows me. She doesn't know me as Kevin Lee's little brother. She knows me as Keith. Great story. He's a great person. Very humble. I'm so happy for him. All that he conquered and that he was not successful when he tried to take his own life. Listen, guys, chat with me in the comments, and when I get an opportunity, I will chat back. Do you follow Keith Lee on TikTok? Do you like what he's doing? I think he's a very humble and good person. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that every time I upload a video, you will be notified. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. Everybody, thanks for watching. Hit the like button, guys. Chat with me. I'll chat back, and I'll see you in the next video.